Live. Go live.
Going live. Welcome everyone.
Hey, how's it
Roma
going?
here, aka Roma Aquatics.
BluShadow.
Brandon Birdwell.
All right. I'm here to ask a bunch of questions that most new people would want to know, and general interviews and discussions. So, what got you guys into shrimp in the first place?
Well, I just enjoyed the tranquility that the tanks brought me. Honestly, it kind of took me away from the stresses of the real world. You know, I do collections, you know, so a lot of times I'm being yelled at by consumers, and hey, it just takes me away from a lot of that. And I enjoy it.
Exactly. And you, Chris?
I've been doing aquariums my entire life, pretty much. Dave Strobel, one of my childhood friends. Shout out to Dave. I went over to his house one day, and he had a 75-gallon tank that he just got. And ironically, he put like 6 little tiny ass pea puffer, or YouTube live, sorry, tiny pea puffers, and it was just super funny to see these little tiny fish in this tank. But I fell in love with aquariums, and I immediately went and got like I think a 20 long or 20 gallon, and it went from there. You know, I started breeding all sorts of fish. Started with the live bearers, obviously, guppies, mollies, platies, stuff like that. Then I got into axolotls. Was actually the first thing that I actually was able to breed and kind of self-sustain the payment, you know, have it pay for itself kind of. And then discus, I actually started making a little bit of profit, and then I got into shrimp from there. So.
Yeah, I know, like with myself, I've done cichlids my whole life, and Chris was the one here that got me into tanks. I would come over and help maintain some of his tanks in the mint while we were practicing our spray paint art business.
Yeah, we used to own a business together. You see them guys in New York City and Vegas doing them 1-minute quick space art paintings. Yeah, we can do that. If you want one, get a hold of us. We can still do that for you.
Now, how long have you guys been doing shrimp?
I've been doing shrimp probably maybe 4.5 years. You know, again, I was doing African cichlids, and you know, they get a little boring. You know, obviously there's not much of a change once they get going. So
here, I'm gonna hit this focus. Sorry guys, pause, because I see the focus going nuts over here.
Yeah.
And I'm also gonna turn down the lighting a little bit because I think there's a little bit of a flare in his face. How's that?
That's actually really good.
Okay. Yeah, there was a little bit of glare going on there. I wanted to fix that. So cool. All right, perfect.
Now, it's even more shocking that you've only been in it for 4 years, and here it is. You got an award this year at A&E in New Jersey.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of just taking shrimp and putting some work into it. You know, it doesn't really take long. Once you show the effort, you know, the work will prove itself.
How long have you been into shrimp, Chris?
I mean, my first actual shrimp tank, I think, was a cherry tank that I bought off Aquabit about 4 years ago. But that was when I was still breeding the discus, so it was more of a secondary, just something I thought was cool. Because at the time I was working in the pet care department at PetSmart, and all they sold was ghost shrimp at the time. But I always saw them buried up and pregnant, and I would pull them up into like a tank in the back room and try to breed them and convince my manager that, hey man, instead of buying them, like every time we buy them, we get them in and like 75% of them are dead the next day. Like, why don't we just try breeding them here in our water and we'll be better? And then, but obviously the ones we were getting in, I guess there are ghost shrimp that will breed in fresh water, but those weren't the kind we were getting. So we would see babies and then 3 days later, nothing. That's really what was like my first step into the shrimp, was at PetSmart, doing those ghost shrimp in the back room, trying to get them to breed, and I just kept failing. And then I went online, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna try it home, but you know, let's try something else. And then I discovered cherry shrimp, and I was like, holy crap. So I bought, I think, 20 cherry shrimp, and I put them in my 75-gallon tank.
Yeah.
And then I bought like 20 blue velvet shrimp on Aquabit as well. And
it seems like for most people, you know, they start out with the cherries, and then obviously they learn what they're doing there, and then they want to progress. You know, it seems like you talking, you want to go right into, you know.
Yeah, I want to jump right into BluShadow pandas.
Yep. Yeah. So it seems like you're trying to skip and just.
So for all of you who don't know, this is my buddy Rob. We've been childhood friends forever. He's starting his own channel, kind of. His BluShadow Panda is his favorite shrimp, so that's why he's known as BluShadow.
My channel's going to be more towards like the whole setup, beginning to end. Like, being a fish guy, not into shrimp, what do I need? How to set up a tank? How do you test the waters? How do you feed them properly and try to take care of something? And if I'm going to jump in it, everybody says start off with the easy guys. Well, if I can learn a hard guy off the bat, I could probably try to take care of anything. But it doesn't help that here in Buffalo we have a nice shrimp community, and that community's there good for support and information. And like Chris and Brandon being so involved in this, I can contact them at any moment. Hey, this is what's going on, and that might be able to steer me in the right direction to help take care of things, or tell me if things are dire and I need to do something that minute.
Yeah, but I'm gonna jump in right there. I mean, the shrimp hobby, the community. I mean, Brandon and I have lived probably 5 minutes from each other our whole lives, but we met each other in Chicago at Aquatic Experience 2017. Like, so how weird is that? I'm in Chicago and I'm like, oh, hey, I live on Clinton. He's like, oh, hey, I live on William. I'm like, oh, that's 5 minutes from me.
And how much weirder was it? Yeah. It was like, hey, I know that guy. His face is somewhere. And it wasn't even before we knew that he was from Buffalo.
Exactly.
It was just how things seemed to link.
So it was awesome. It's awesome, and now I'd consider ourselves good friends now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very good friends.
Now I know with like fish, it's okay to keep multiple fish in the same tank because it doesn't breed together. And the shrimps, I know they crossbreed all the time, so you try to keep everything a little more separate. In that case, how many tanks do you have, Chris?
Right now I think the count is at 49 if you count the 4 ponds, but I don't because they're not tanks and they don't really have anything in them. 3 of them are just plants going, and then the other one's just my crystal culls. So,
and which is your favorite out of all of your tanks?
Right now, the zebra bibolti are at the top of my list. I got them through Flip Aquatics. Selene's the breeder, and I absolutely love them.
And what about you, Brandon? How many tanks and what's your favorites?
You know, I'm going through a little bit of a restructure. I have probably about 30 plus tanks up now. I probably have about, you know, that or more in storage ready to be put up once I move. But I have a lot of interest. Obviously, you know, I'm known for, you know, the boas that I got from, you know, Vinfish, the competition. You know, great line of shrimp. Right now I'm kind of dealing with the orange eye stuff that I've acquired through the aquatic experience. You know, pretty cool.
Shout out to Ray. Love
absolutely.
You, Ray, man.
Always. Again,
that brings me right into the next question. Who do you guys look up to in the shrimp community? Because there's so many people.
So many.
But there's certain ones that you idolize above the rest.
Yeah, you go first on that, please.
Personally, I think Eric Lucas right now, he's doing a lot. You know, he gives back a lot.
He gives it back to the community and donations.
Yeah, you know, he's trying. You know, obviously he's got a business. You know, he's doing what he can. He tries.
He's buypetshrimp.com, by the way. Sorry to interrupt you.
Exactly. You know, just a great guy. You know, so I think he's somebody that we could all look up to. Very knowledgeable in the hobby. You know, he attends a lot of the competitions and a lot of the, you know, community give back type, you know, things.
Yeah.
Just
he's a good guy. He's generally a really great guy.
And who do you look up to, Chris?
Eric Lucas is definitely one of them, but we've covered him. There's Flip Aquatics. He basically taught me a lot of what I know getting into the business. Plamsky, he's one of my favorite breeders when it comes to Caridina. Everything
absolutely.
I've got from him.
Guy as well.
Yeah, everything I've got from him have lived.
Can and,
yeah, he's one of my. Actually, he's probably on the top right now. Like if it was like, who would you rather buy a shrimp out of? Anyone's tanks. It'd probably be him, and he's because I know that shrimp's going to be healthy and great.
Actually, when I first started the hobby, Jason Lynn, when he was originally running Blue Crown, he was the one that kind of was my main help getting set up with beginning to end, going through it, and I know he got kind of busy doing his thing, and Blue Crown's now going on to his Roby and
Roby, and Roby and Elvis, I think, are pretty much running Blue Crown right now. Shout out to them, Roby Chan, Elvis Ha. Elvis Billy Ha.
Yeah. Like me, not being in the shrimp game, I can only tell you by the people I see amazing shrimp at these events at all the competitions. And the ones who are
Oh, sorry.
there.
Carbon Chen,
Carbon.
Vin, Slane. I mean, we've kind of moved on to the next top. I have many more
Exactly.
people that I have role models of.
You just
besides
pulled
just
all
them,
the names
but
that I was
that's
going to say because those are the guys that I actually see and go, hey, you bred this line. Like, these are famous. And
Exactly.
like, Rob Jackson and his Blue Bolts are another really well known.
You know, there's so many people in the hobby that help bring it to what
the
what
level
at
it
this
is.
point. And
Yeah.
honestly, you know, I think we need to spread that. We need to grow the hobby every day. We need to spread the energy. And honestly, I don't think there's really too many things in our lives that bring us together. You know, it doesn't matter what the race, what, you know, ethnic background.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter what it is. And honestly, just I don't know, it's just awesome.
100%. Like, this is a little sidetrack, but this is perfect based on what you said. One of the reasons that, like, when I got into the hobby, and I said Flip Aquatics, I learned a lot when I first got in. I was watching all of his, basically because I'm a YouTube, right? And I like YouTube. I learn everything I know off of YouTube. So I search for shrimp on YouTube. Who's going to pop up? Flip Aquatics,
And
right?
you.
So, well, this is pre me existing, and there's plenty others, so I don't even want to put myself in the same level as him, because I'm not. But basically, I learned a lot from him, and when I messaged him and he replied to me, first of all, that blew my mind, because it was like some peon messaging a celebrity.
This is Lupton?
And then,
Yeah.
Rob Lupton, and them actually responding. And then, like, basically, he helped me, and in my mind, I'm like, if this was any other business, you would be doing everything you can to keep me down and prevent me from succeeding. But in the shrimp hobby, it's the exact opposite, whether it be a business or a
growth
hobby.
is your growth, and just
It's-
us growing period is just what we all
Good
need.
for the business
It's
as a whole.
great for everyone, and it's insane because you don't see that in any other business. Even discus, axolotl, you don't see that.
Well, we need to
it's
spread the
shrimp.
knowledge, because think about it, you know, there's so many people that are involved in the aquatic life, but they've never dealt with shrimp. And the first thing they ask is this saltwater?
Exactly,
It's not
because they
saltwater.
look like salt.
It's
Yeah.
obviously there's maintenance to your shrimp, but I mean, no, it's not saltwater. And a lot of time it's very easy to have these tanks and these shrimp that everybody want, you know, like I said, instead of going right through the neos and kind of learning, you've already had, you know, friends that are going through all that. They've went through the hiccups that you might need to go through to, you know, get to where you want to be. And, you know, you have a lot of support, like you said. So
That actually
So
brings
much
me
support
perfectly to the
Like
next
he would be
questions.
perfectly
What you have,
successful. He's a member of
start.
the fish groups on Facebook,
Yeah.
the shrimp groups on Facebook. That, you know, the groups on Facebook,
Oh.
they help you. I feel closer to them people than, like, when I went to Aquatic Experience, I was hanging out with my best friends.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like I know those people,
Right.
even though I haven't seen any of them ever. I mean, I've seen a handful of them last year at Aquatic Experience, and
Right.
most of them are still new, but it's people I talk to on a daily basis.
Yeah, the
So
camaraderie is
I
just
know
amazing.
them.
Absolutely.
I
Now-
know them.
Just because of that, it brings us right back to the actual shrimp. Now, shrimps are relatively taken care of in the community because they actually have specific water qualities they need. Now, like, what kind of water qualities do they need, and what do each of those factors go to?
It really just depends depends on the species of shrimp. You know, Neocaridina or Caridina. You know, higher pH, lower pH. You know, obviously, I'm sure it comes to the background of the shrimp. But again, you know, you got your higher end. You know, generally the Caridinas, they need the lower pH, and you got your easier to care for. You know, sometimes you can manage it with tap water, and you know that's why again it's easier for beginners.
Now, like, I see a lot of people comment about, like, their KH, GH, TDSs and all that. What are they, and how do they actually play a little bit of a role in this?
Just different parameters that control kind of where your shrimp are at. TDS, total dissolved solids, GH, general hardness of the water, and KH, I'll leave my buddy here, Roma.
KH is the carbonate hardness.
Yeah,
Not
what we
really
want none
sure.
of, so hey.
Exactly, we don't really want that unless you're a Neo tank or tigers, I guess. Some tigers, mostly not, I guess. Yeah, K is generally the enemy for the higher grade shrimp, so you just want to stay away from that. Here, I'll go grab my minerals. I'll be right back. We can break this down really.
Well, actually, while that's going, Brandon, Have you found there's certain things that help you bury a female a little more, or is it just time?
Yeah, obviously, you know, a mature tank, you know, has a lot to do with it. Certainly, you know, the age of the shrimp, fresh after molts, you know, the temperature of the water. I'm sure there's so many different things that play roles in whether or not your shrimp are hairy and hairy.
Hairy.
You know, make sure they're buried up and, you know, do what they do.
Because I've heard certain people talk about like their tricks are just lowering the water so there's less water, and they think it's like a dire situation where certain fish actually follow that.
You think, honestly, that could be
It could work, something like that, a slight change in temperature, drastically over 12 hours, it'll spawn. You never know what happens.
Yeah, there's so many factors.
But I do want to make a comment on that. You are, when you do stuff like that,
you're stressing the shrimp out, and it's like, is it
I wouldn't,
for the shrimp?
No, I wouldn't do it in my tanks personally, no. I can see how it could work, but with shrimp, patience. The more you try to rush stuff, the least successful you're going to be. And when you put money, if you try to go the cheap way, like
it'll generally cost you.
It costs you more. For sure. The cheapest way is the most expensive.
Let's try to buy shrimp through. You know, hey, get a package through EMS. One maybe you get through, and then the next 3 don't. And then the one that you got through, half of those shrimp lived.
And then you threw them on fluvial soil.
Exactly.
Because that was the cheapest.
Now they'll never bury up, and you're just, you know, so it's just always easier to buy, you know, if possible, homebred shrimp. That way you could avoid a lot of the issues. But, you know, that's not always an option. We have to, a lot of times, buy
in the United States
shrimp
especially.
when we're dealing with higher end shrimp, because not many people, you know, stateside have these species.
Yeah. By the way, side plug, that's an extra reason to go to the aquatic experience, because you get to buy shrimp that you would normally need a license to buy.
Sure.
So there you go. The shrimp are already brought into the U.S. and these are normally shrimp you'd
need
imported,
ready for you to take
ready
home.
to go. So
now, that actually brings. What's in your hand? What kind of things are needed to get started?
So starting shrimping, you don't need. Let's start with what is considered easy, but I don't want to promote that because I personally am having more issues with my Neos than I do with my Tigers or any of my low pH water. So let me rephrase that. I am having problems with, yes, my Neos more than I'm having problems with my low pH water. So the fact that people say Neos are easier, that's not always the case. It depends on where you are and what your water is.
You're trying to change so many factors of the water and trying to, you know, get it to what's going to make the shrimp comfortable. A lot of the times, less is more.
Exactly. I'm actually to the
tanks.
Now that he said less is more, this is, let's go for that less is more. So this is the remineralizer that I bought, salty shrimp, GHKH plus for my Neos and my Royal Blue Tigers that are in high GH water, and my Zebra Balties. So that's what I use this for. But my Neos, before I bought all this fancy stuff and I had my reverse osmosis system. So first of all, you need a reverse osmosis deionization system to get your TDS water to 0 before you use this. But then once I got that and I was like, oh, I'm going to switch everything over. My Neos were doing fairly well. Switched them over, remineralized. Now I'm having problems. So my water, to me that says my tap water on a general, I mean tap water changes constantly. So we don't want to say it's always constant. But that was the reason I wanted to get out of the tap water. But general day-to-day basis, my tap water is generally seeming to do better than this in my area in Buffalo, New York. So I'm thinking about switching back, but there's many places that have bad water that this is going to be your key to success.
But I do think, you know, around here we have perfect water for Neos, you know.
Exactly, there's no reason.
The only thing that I've ever done was just remove the chlorine, you know, and that's just
keep talking, but
normal with any type of water change, you know, for anything not needing the RO water or anything.
Now, besides just the water and the minerals, is there anything else that you tend to put in every one of your tanks, or?
You know, leaves. I do have sometimes cholla wood in most of my tanks. You know, fern, moss I think is critical. But obviously, you know, having a nice algae buildup is huge. You know, you want these small shrimp that generally aren't able to get up in front and, you know, eat off the pellets. You got to have ways for them to get food, and I think you know, Chris is really kind of hit it in the head. the nail on the head with the SEMO.
Now, what is this SEMO, by the way?
So I don't want to take credit for SEMO. I didn't hit the nail on the head. Selene hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
And SEMO stands for Shrimp Effective Microorganism. And basically, it's a BT9 mixture that's sold by Missoura, which is Selene's company. And he basically, I don't know exactly what the 9 microorganisms are, but you throw them in just like you were brewing beer or wine or something. You throw them in a bottle with a little bit of sugar and a little bit of the rich water nutrients, which is actually optional. So that's not even, you don't even really need that. But you throw it in a dark place at room temperature for a while, and it starts to ferment and bubble, and the bacteria multiplies, and it eats that sugar, and it poops out alcohol, just like ferment, and that's why it bubbles, and it gets carbon dioxide. But it's basically a liquid.
Smells like a nitrifying.
Smells like he says nitrifying bacteria.
I say it's Limburger cheese.
He sells, or Lorraine Swiss.
Lorraine Swiss, yeah.
Swiss.
I said Limburger first, thinking about it.
I think it smells like if you go outside after a long rain when your garbage can's full and you take a shot of that water out of the bottom of your garbage can. That's pretty much, yeah. That, and then you will distill it a little bit to make it pure and more smelly.
I know if you want to learn more on the SEMO, you can always watch Chris's video.
Yeah, there's a video on brewing SEMO. Also, discobee.com has the recipe.
So. No, I've noticed like Chris's tanks tend to have like a certain recipe that seems to work for him, where he's got his substrate, he puts a little bit of Sawasser tang, a piece of cholo, and a small rock or a large rock, and calls it quits.
You know, pretty much a lot of people have, Brandon does a lot of the more preparation. It depends on your soil. I use Brightwell soil, so it doesn't have that break-in period that other soils would have. So I tend to kind of, and this leans against mainstream for sure. Most people probably think I'm nuts, honestly, in the shrimp community for doing what I do. When I made that video yesterday and I said my shadow pandas are in here 22 hours after I filled it,
yep.
Most people probably wanted to slit my throat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not normal. Brandon probably wouldn't do that.
No. And if I did, I would certainly add, the vials of what is it?
The bio,
exactly.
Just
biofilm.
Whether it's, even if there is ammonia in there.
I seeded filters
and some other stuff. Obviously, that all helps, and obviously that's going to speed your cycle. But obviously, I wouldn't do that with a $500 shrimp.
Oh no! If those were fancy tigers,
I wouldn't do that with
way.
Any expensive or high-end shrimp you truthfully don't care about.
I was just going to ask too. Then, is there really a wait time after setting up a new tank?
But I honestly
there's many different methods.
Everybody has, like I said, what works for Chris might not work for me, and obviously we've gone back and forth on ideas, and like we discuss those things that work for you, it doesn't work for me.
But we both use totally different products. Totally, like our tank environments, even though the parameters may say they're the exact same, they're not the same at all.
If I'm not mistaken, you follow,
you know what I mean?
The VIN method, I think it was called.
Right.
Yeah.
Where you let the biofilm really build up and
a lot of
cycle.
There's a lot of products,
with a lot of methods, but his. Lately, that was one of the ones that I tried out, and had a lot of good results for sure.
I mean, don't get me wrong. That tank had shrimp in it before that 20. I just want to clarify because people might not have seen that video. That tank had shrimp in it before, so there's already a good algae buildup on all the glass. So basically, all I did was take a Neo tank and convert it into a low pH.
Oh well, then that's not really a
change.
Yeah,
that's exactly why I wanted to clarify. It's not a completely new. Here's a 10-gallon I got from PetSmart yesterday. I threw some Brightwell in it and filled it up with the seeded. So I want to totally clarify.
That's a big difference.
Huge difference because I already have a good amount of biofilm covering, and that's the point of waiting. So totally needed to clarify that, 100%.
Now, do you guys recommend starting with fish or just jumping right into shrimp?
Like I said, for most of the people that are already involved, once they find out about shrimp and it's not saltwater, they immediately do something, instantly. I know it interested me. I bred, African cichlids, and it was cool, mouth brooders, and just their whole ability to, reproduce was awesome. I mean, it's just,
I mean, you never see a fish spit out 30 fish and then suck them back in.
See,
like that is super
I did
cool.
the cichlids, but I never saw any of those.
The mouth brooders are so cool.
Yeah, I had Jack Dembski's, which they were egg layers, but then those guys still popped, and they followed around and hovered around their mom.
And then, again, if you want your female, because if you think when she's holding eggs in her mouth, to get big and to release them, she's not eating, you know,
Yep.
unless she's swallowing a baby every now and then, you know, and again, it's not safe. So I would go in and I would strip the mom. I'd get them to, you know, release them, put them in an egg tumbler, which, you know, can have good results if you knew what you were doing. But there's always your learning curve, so you're going to lose some.
Now,
but again,
did that help you raise shrimp better, or do you think?
Sure, yeah, of course. I'm sure.
Absolutely. It teaches you about parameters, water
you're
care.
doing water changes, and you're getting into the rhythm of what you need to have.
But I wouldn't necessarily say you need to raise fish
No.
before getting into shrimp. Not at all. I would definitely. It just helps to know about water parameters and what it takes to take care of an aquarium in general. It doesn't matter if it's a goldfish, a betta, or breeding fish, or shrimp, or I mean, it could be sea monkeys.
Now,
You know?
I actually have a question towards where I want to go. What is a BluShadow panda? Do they throw BluShadow panda kids all the time, or are there other variations that they throw?
Obviously, you're going to have. I mean, if you have a solid line, for the most part, you're going to get that same line of shrimp.
So
you will obviously have various patterns, you know, that get thrown. You know, some that are going to have higher quality than others. I mean, but that just comes with any type of shrimp. You know, you're going to have to do some grading and culling and, you know, pulling the better ones into, you know, their own tank and moving others. But
a good amount. If you want to have a really nice color BluShadow panda, right? You're gonna start out with good genes, and they're hard to find. So
Yeah.
what I would do is I'd contact Robert Jackson and say, hey, give me one of your blue bolts. I'm gonna mate it with this panda over here. And I'm gonna take those genes to the next level. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I've tried to do.
And I've recently just, you know, noted, you know, some higher end shrimp that I'm like, whoa, what's that? And they're with some extreme blue bolts, with, you know, say some snowflake fish bones and stuff.
Wow,
you know, I'm like, well, you know, if that was a different color, that'd be a boa, you know, or a high grade, you know, shrimp that would cost some money, and they're mixing those with extremes. And that's where I think they're getting that blue pattern into that, you know, the fish bone. Can't confirm it, but, you know, looking at the pictures, why would you have those expensive shrimp?
Some of the stuff I was finding
that
out
makes sense.
that
Yeah.
the blue is coming towards
And having
a
conversations
lack
with
of a
some
white
others,
gene.
that's, you know,
Yeah, talking with the people, that's what helps.
Yeah.
Talk to the breeders, talk to where they can know. I mean, you get that information, you know.
See, that was the thing. Like, I was finding out some stuff where they say the blue pattern is the lack of the ability to carry the white. But then there's other BluShadow pandas that have white genes.
Yeah, I don't
So
believe
it's
that.
hard to say
That
which
doesn't
way to
make
go,
sense
too.
me.
But if you look
I
at
think they have, you know, there was the classic shadow panda, which was obviously the more whitish ones. And then obviously, I think at some point, you know, they probably did get mixed with, you know,
Blue
whether
bolts.
it's blue bolts,
Yeah.
and then that's where you started getting the, you know, the blues and.
Or blue bolts were created from nicer shadow pandas.
oh, kind of like a Mitchell.
Out of which came chicken
Sure,
first, the egg, the
exactly.
panda,
Right.
or the blue bolt. I mean, is there any information? Please leave comments if you know which came first.
The chicken or the egg.
The chicken or the egg, the Taiwan bee shadow panda, or the blue bolt. Where did the blue start? Let me know, because who knows, they're all Taiwan bees, but which one came first?
Well, unfortunately, being a new video, I'm going to have to wrap mine. But please come over to Roma's channel. I'll have the link below. And you can continue watching this video and the rest of our interview. Have a good night, guys.
All right, so Rob just cut out. What was up with that? That since you're a new channel, you're limited to
Yeah,
half hour or
new
what?
channels, you have a very small time limit now. You have certain amount of, like, I wasn't
Rob,
even allowed to go
speaking of
live.
this, plug your channel, and everyone on my channel knows. Can
By the
check out
way,
your
my
channel.
channel's going to be called BluShadow. It won't let me give you a short link yet or create a URL until I
He's
have a
brand
certain
new,
amount
brand
of
new.
followers. However, I can still give you the long URL in Chris's description below.
Yeah, we'll throw it in there.
It might take a minute to get it in there, but
Eventually, it'll be there.
it'll be there so you guys can come through. I'm definitely going to have more, like, from the beginning, start to finish kind of thought. Because there's a lot of information out there from the people who don't know anything coming into it. And how do you get to where you
And
want
we
it?
want to make sure that we're spreading good information.
Exactly.
You know, take what works, and if it's something that truly is working for the hobby, we need to move forward with it, and you know, let's progress.
And
Let's,
speaking of that, I actually feel like I may have hurt the shrimp community a little bit, and I need to make amends to that, because a lot of the videos in my past, as you know, I'm experimenting, right? I'm trying new things. And
So
a lot of
sometimes
those
things work.
a
Sometimes
lot
they
of
don't.
those things didn't work, and I never actually came back and made a clarification video that said, "Hey, that didn't work. Don't do that." So look forward to a very negative, like sad video of me being like, "Don't do this," because that's coming.
The new and improved Roma aquatics.
Right, exactly. So basically, the shrimp towers filled with fluval, don't do that. It doesn't work.
I tried to tell you this from the beginning. But,
Lots of people. You wasn't the only
to each
one.
their own.
But I needed to. I'm not.
You
I
needed
still
to
don't
experiment.
regret. I needed to find out and learn for myself. I couldn't just. You can't just believe
He
everyone
wanted to
out
reset
there.
his tanks
And at the
quicker.
time, you were just some jerk. You weren't some AE
You
award-winning
reset
medalist.
you definitely reset your tanks quicker because the shrimp didn't.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, they definitely. That wasn't. Don't do that.
Now think of other things like that. If you found certain foods to be work better with your shrimps than others,
Absolutely.
like-
I would say
including grazing foods.
grazing
too.
foods is what I was
Realistically,
just going to say.
your shrimp are going to tell you what they like, and you know.
That's true too.
When
That's
the
very
food's
much
gone and you could tell that they're ready for more food, give them more food. You know, don't overfeed. Know what works for your tanks. Everyone, what works again for Chris doesn't work for me, so it might not work for you. You know, just do your experimenting at the same point. Be cautious of your tank and its inhabitants. I mean, you know, don't put them at risk. And, you know, a lot of times, like I said, less is more. You know,
Now,
if you're worried of whether or not this is going to harm your shrimp, don't give it to them.
Yeah, don't
Now-
like. For example, I have a shelf full of leaves that I've received in packages when I ordered shrimp, and they're still on that shelf. They will never go on my tank because I don't know where those came from. I don't know. I don't know if they got picked from someone's backyard. So they will. I don't know why they're not in the garbage yet. Honestly, they should just go in the garbage because I'm never gonna use them.
now, if you feel like plugging what you're using, go ahead. But have you found certain things actually work great? Though?
I have found since I don't know whether it's maybe my tanks are finally a year old and the
Established.
aging of the tank, or it's that I started feeding SEMO, or if it's that I started making sure there's a lot of grazing food in there like snowflake and barley bits, or I've changed my feeding pattern because before I fed grazing food, I fed a lot more of your more pelletized.
Yeah, because
or-
didn't you used to feed in little petri dishes that you would remove?
Yeah,
after
I would put
feeding?
them in little dishes, and I noticed the shrimp would just carry the pellet off anyway, so that I kind of gave up on those because they just kind of went away.
But they look cool and everybody wanted them. So.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It was cool to show your. And then you, well, I can't get the food in the dish, so now I got to sell the tube.
pole that
The
goes
tune,
down, right.
exactly. Yeah. So yeah.
What
I
do you
mean,
feed
not
your
mocking that. That's
Or
great.
shrimp.
What is it?
Now, what do you feed your shrimp?
I mean, like I said, for me, I have a few foods that I enjoy and I know my shrimp enjoy. But the biggest thing is obviously having a mature tank, having algae for the shrimp to eat, regardless of
Food is
us going
supplement.
us going away on our trips to, you know, our shows and our
Yep.
competitions, leaves and making sure that just your tank is mature and your shrimp will be fine.
Now, do you need any special lights for growing the algae that the shrimp like to eat, or does anything seem to work?
You know what? I've never really had. Obviously, you know, certain lights work better than the other. Obviously, you know, I'm not a pro with lighting, but I use a lot of Phoenix lights. I mean, they work good for me. And a lot of my Cardinal, as they say. You know, those lights are awesome for all my nano
Here's
tanks
some
and my, you know, my scapers tanks. The algae is phenomenal, and those tanks thrive.
And they look great.
Thank you.
They look
Yeah.
fantastic.
Use those T5 LEDs.
Yeah, I was trying to think of what they are. Basically, I buy whatever's the greatest deal on Amazon at the time. 4-foot long LED tubes. They're cheap to run with electricity.
Daisy Jane 'em.
Yep.
Now, do you think that the type of lighting has to affect the algae that comes from
Oh,
these lights?
absolutely. Since
Because-
these lights are cheap, they're going to have a higher blue band, from what I understand. And the
Yeah.
blue band promotes the hair algae and all this other
The
stuff.
nuisance algae
The
that we don't
nuisance
like.
algae, the brown algae. So it's definitely not the greatest way.
You know, it depends on what your intentions are. I mean, obviously, if you want a show tank, you know, put the money into it. And obviously, it comes with the shrimp. If you want quality shrimp, just put their money into it. If you can't afford it right now, just put a savings away and yes, tuck it away and then get the shrimp that you want and it'll be worth it.
The only reason I'm doing it the way I'm doing it is I don't have 3 tanks. I have 50 tanks and I plan on having 300 tanks. So I can't be putting $200 lights on all of these tanks. So that's why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. But for the average shrimper out there, just save up that extra week and buy the good light.
It actually breaks. Are there any other tips for beginners that you've seen that you can help out other people with?
Less is more. You know, again, I can't stress it enough, and I'll stress it every time you ask me. Less is more. You know, just let your tanks be. Let them mature. Especially, you know, I think under that first year, the less you can do to it, the better. You know, obviously, you know, do your top offs, do your water changes, but nothing too drastic. I mean, nothing that's going to affect your shrimp. Now, obviously, is it necessary? Water changes, yes. Do you have to do that? Yes. But do you have to do it as much as, you know, we all say in the beginning? I don't think in the beginning it's as important as, you know, a 2 or a 3-year-old tank, you know.
Oh, absolutely. So, established tanks, I mean, 1 year, it's probably about my 1.5-year anniversary, almost 2-year anniversary probably approaching. Yeah. And I'm noticing my tanks are just exploding. And it's like I said, I can't attribute it to a single thing because I keep experimenting and changing. But something
exactly
I did,
what it was, or
something
just a combination of everything.
I have no idea what it was, or it could be a combination of multiple things. But whatever I'm doing now, I'm staying with it because I'm seeing baby explosions. The babies are living to juvies and beyond. It's winter, should be downtime. I'm still seeing tons of buried females, so it's staying with it. But it's tank per tank per tank. I have a tank of Santas that they get buried, throw, juvies, gone. Parameters, I just moved them into another tank because I've noticed, even if the tanks have the exact same parameters, I'll just move this, my ghost bees for example. My ghost bees weren't doing great over here. I moved them in here, thriving. The tanks measure the exact same parameters.
Sure.
So sometimes it
just comes down to that tank. Like I said, you can set up a rack, 20 tanks all together, the same temperatures, the same time, everything done proper, filled the same time, and you have 2 tanks that are on completely different ends, but they don't work.
You could even have 2 tanks next to each other. One's cloudy, one's not, and they set up the exact same way. You never. It's just. It's
luck of the draw.
And exactly, and if you notice after, I mean, put some time in it. Don't give up too quick. But if you notice this tank ain't working, it may be time to set up a new tank and switch them over. That's basically what I've been doing.
Move the shrimp, reset it, and move on.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't throw products at a tank and expect it to work. Like if it's not working, you can try for a little while. But if you keep just throwing
so
more,
you can actually overdo a tank.
Absolutely, less. Like he keeps saying, less is more. The more you're doing water changes, like the more you're throwing this in and that in.
Like in the beginning, when I wanted, you know, one of my, you know, if I really wanted these shrimp to do well, I would turn the lights off and I would just forget about them. You know, make sure that again the tank's set up, you know, everything's there, and just forget about. Now again, when you say turn off the lights, you know, they've already established tanks and they already have plenty of biofilm and algae that, you know, is going to sustain them for a little bit of time. And again, explosions, you know, when you come back, you know.
Exactly, because light stresses out shrimp. It's needed for the biofilm, but like you said, if you already have a very well-established tank that's covered in biofilm.
Yeah, who's got that? Because that's the next thing.
We're gonna do it. All right, so
all right. Carbon gave us these candies out in A&E. We're finally together again since that.
We're all going to get home.
We're going to eat them.
Get a chance.
Yeah, we didn't get there.
Or actually, we just, you know, it was too late.
We forgot.
We were tired from, you know, wrapping up. But again, everybody that's watching, you know, we've discussed this through the groups. Some Chinese candy, I believe it is. I guess it's kind of hard to get now these days, but I don't know. But we're going to see what it's about.
Yeah,
so
even Carbon was saying, like, he wants somebody from China to get it for him because he can't get them, and he's right there.
Yep. So
again, Carbon, thank you. Hopefully,
thank you.
This wasn't a gag, and
yeah,
you know.
Hopefully, we're good to go. And Roby, if you can get them, you know my address, man.
See, like I get these Chinese mango gummies. I think you've had 1 or 2 of my gummies before, and like
somebody get a hold of Carbon, and let's figure out if these are good. Carbon, is that you, my man?
I just
He's leaving comments.
Yeah.
He's leaving comments. Carbon, we're eating the cami. I'm loving it. It's not like anything I tasted.
Yeah, it's not
As
very
far as
sweet.
United
It's a little,
States-
I was
candy.
almost expecting like a cinnamonish type. I don't know why, but
No, because when your mind says spice, and like that's what I heard, they were sweet, but they had more of a spice.
I
note.
can't even put a flavor on it.
Mm-mm.
It's good, but I can't even think of one single word to describe it.
drywall with lemon.
You get lemon? I'm not getting lemon. A little
See,
bit.
I get a little citrus to it. but
Yeah?
There's more spice than anything, and it's more of a like.
I mean, it's good drywall. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, we're good. It's delicious. I
Yeah.
just don't know how to describe it.
It's almost like a ginger turmeric kind of spice, where it's not something you taste in everything.
I know. Right?
Totally bugging out right now, bro.
Whoa.
Mm.
No. Did you chew?
I didn't want to.
You
but
chewed!
I didn't want to, and then it
Broken
dissolved
half.
in the middle, and I was like, I might as well chew it
I'm
because
still sucking.
2 pieces are so hard to work with.
Sucker over here.
Those are
I
good.
was told that's what you're supposed to do. Let it slowly.
Enjoy it.
Just, yeah.
I'm gonna try to. Once it breaks up, I can't do it anymore. I got it.
You gotta taste the lemon a little bit.
Nope.
No. Maybe
Yep, now.
Is
Yeah.
everyone different?
When I chewed it.
Actually, they say that your taste buds are all everybody's taste
Well,
buds.
he meant every
different.
candy different.
Oh no, I mean everybody's taste buds.
Here, give me your.
I love bitter items,
That was.
but most people don't have the gene to taste the bitter properly.
That was so good.
So like it might come down to how we perceive taste.
I can definitely see getting addicted to that flavor because you can't get it anywhere else.
What am I gonna do when I'm done?
Right? Like I chewed mine now. Damn it. I'm done.
I'm gonna save a piece for later.
Hope it don't dissolve.
That's so good.
But anyways, back into the shrimps. Is there certain places in which you want to take yourself? Like, what's your future in the shrimp community, or
I
what's your
envision
goals?
myself owning an island in the Pacific with my own security force, and I can run my own government, and we would be fueled by shrimp, and I would collect taxes on my people, and they would have to give me shrimps.
get married? You got a dowry.
Yeah,
You're like, I need your
Right.
3 best
I can't
shrimp.
grow like you.
instead of taking your firstborn child, I will take your best fancy tiger.
Everybody's happy right now. You know?
Oh, that's good. Where do you see yourself going, Brandon?
I have a lot of plans. Slow growth for me right now. Trying to do everything strategically. I don't want to make a move that's going to end up having cost me down the road. I'm just trying to do everything a little bit slower. I have a lot of big plans, coming up. Move in place. So I'm definitely going to go through beginning to end of me setting up another room. Obviously, I am moving a completed room over, so it's going to be a little bit easier.
It's going to be the second time I have to help him move his shrimp.
But realistically, I'm not my madness, and it's fairly easy the first time.
It wasn't bad, actually.
So
I was more nervous than you were, I think. I was having a heart attack.
But you haven't done any major moves like that with
They
everything.
moved from that room to this room. That's
Yeah.
and that was 6 tanks.
And then
so-
still, you're like, I'm going to need a hand carrying
It's
these.
that-
And
even
then
then.
you drained it down, and you're like, I don't know how I manhandled
But
it, but I did it.
I feel for Ray too, because Ray moved and he had his tanks in the back of his car, and he said you could just hear him sloshing around.
Oh,
It's-
it is.
I'm like, oh my-
You're biting your fingernails, and it's rough. It's definitely a stressful time, and obviously it's stressful for your shrimp. But
Exactly.
luckily enough, I really didn't have any losses that were noticeable. So
Yeah, they're actually
again,
fairly hardy.
slow. Take it slow. Don't rush it. Have everything you need. It's just like having a baby. You're gonna change a diaper. You want to make sure you have everything that you need to change the diaper. You're gonna have your wipes. You're gonna have your diaper. You're gonna have your kid, and then you're gonna do it.
Oh, yeah.
Get it done, and it's
It's
gone.
so true.
Wow, I've
you know.
never heard that.
So it's just be prepared.
Beautiful.
You have tanks. You take the cycled water. You take the water that's in the tanks. You put it in the buckets. You cap the buckets. You load them. You take the racks. You set it up. You set up the tank. You drip in the water. You put back the shrimp, and there you go. Or me in this case, I never even removed my shrimp. I just moved.
We moved them with the shrimp in them, and that's
Lowered the water. Put the water
that
back
was
in.
scary.
And
But
turn
we
on
did,
there.
we did a pretty good job. So
cautious, slow,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know, nothing was really rushed.
Yeah, that speed bump, those speed bumps were fun.
We took it to the amusement park that day.
That's nice.
I don't think there were any speed bumps. I made that
No,
up.
I know.
Is there anything else you guys want to add to the conversations or questions?
No, just, you know, I would just say, just everybody, let's keep adding back to the hobby. You know, give more than you receive. You know, have it be the grown-up mentality of Christmas. Give back. Obviously, we're seeing that all across the hobby, and it's amazing. You know, again, and that's why I mentioned Eric Lucas, taking percentage of the shrimp that he's selling and buying and giving to his community. You know, giving back to the people there that probably need it most. And you know, I mean, it's awesome to have the support like that, the community like that. Let's keep striving and
BuyPetShrimp.com.
yeah. So
Yeah,
again,
he's running something
you know,
with
going forward, guys. You know,
percentage of sales
if you're
right
looking
now,
for
too.
some shrimp, he does have shrimp available, and you know, again, it's for a good cause.
Yeah, you got anything you want to add?
I'm still chewing on this carbon candy.
Thank you, Car. Yeah,
Yeah,
all
that
that.
was
Thank you,
definitely
Carbon. Carbon, great shrimp, great candy, great person. Gotta love Carbon.
Make sure you bring more to A&E
Let those
next
falcons fly.
Let those falcons fly. Get out there, check out those falcons.
year. Yeah, past that, come check out my new channel. Be adding here and there, but it's going to go from everything from start to the end, from the newbie's perspective, and not a guy who's been here forever. Those general questions on which way to go. All right.
Appreciate
You
you
out
having me.
here?
Yeah, that's
Having me.
Brandon Birdwell, Roma Aquatics, and I'm Blue Falcon.
A blue falcon.
I mean, no, yeah.